Welcome to Brain Attic. So today we'll learn a little more about Python. Now in the previous video, I showed you how you can use Google Collaboratory to run your basic Python codes. Okay, so Google Collaboratory is nothing but a Jupyter notebook. Now it is freely available over your browser. Just go and search for Google Colab, and I've shown the rest of the operations which you have to do in order to execute the commands which you want. I hope some of you have even started working on some projects based on Python, but I'll go gradually. And in today's video, I'll tell you about the print command, the basic data types such as integer, float, string, boolean, etc. How you can use variables, and how you can take input using Python. So let us begin. Now, I hope you remember the hello world which we printed in our Google Collaboratory introduction video. So the command was something like this: print, okay, with open parenthesis, open inverted commas, hello world, close inverted commas, and close parenthesis. Now to execute the code, you have to press shift and enter. Okay, hello world is printed. Now the other way of executing the cell was to click on this play button, which is actually run cell button. So if you click on it, the code will be executed and you will see hello world out here. Okay, now you can enter multiple print commands in a single cell. So hello world print, I'll write welcome to Brain Attic. Now if I execute this, you will see the consecutive print commands being executed and coming out from the single cell itself. Okay, now this print command is not necessarily that you have to follow this set in this fashion only. So you can give integers within them and you can expect it to print the integer. So if I write 125 for example and I execute this cell, so it will print the number 125. Okay, now you can do various other arithmetic operations as well using this. So let me show it to you. Print, I'll write 125 plus 25 and I'll run the command. It will give me 150. So if you're familiar with C, C++ programming, then I hope you would remember that there are certain formats and syntax which you were expected to follow in order to do such operations. So obviously you were able to print the print the result directly by giving the two integers, but you had to take the two integers and then you have to like follow a syntax and then print the result out. So in this case, it is relatively easy. Now this is not limited to only addition. You can perform a subtraction operation. Execute. You may even perform a division operation. It will execute all operations and present you the result. Now, something which you might be noticing here is that the result which came out to be is 5.0. Okay. Now, though the operation was integer divided by integer, this result apparently gives a decimal point and it makes this result as a floating number. Now what is a floating number? Floating number is anything when you give which is not an integer. The data type is considered to be a floating in Python. Okay, say for suppose you give a command like print 22 by 7. Now integer divided by integer, but the result will come out as a floating number. So this is the close approximation of pi. Okay, so I hope you remember this. So data types or assigning data types is not at all an issue in case of Python, which is a major advantage, and it like waves off a major headache which is there in C, C++, and makes it more like user friendly and makes it more popular among the beginning programmers these days. Okay, so you can now, as you see, I've done some operations within the print command. You can do these operations with string as well. So I told you about integers. What are integers? The mathematical integers, the concept of integers which you have is almost similar to the integers which are here also. So there's no big deal in it. So it keeps a fixed amount of memory for itself. We'll not get into the details of what integers, float and exactly are. The basic concept or the basic idea for us is to follow how we want to code or how we want to program a particular problem. Okay, so and when it comes to floating data types, so and I'll give you an example of floating data type is this 3.14. Okay, this is a floating data type. Okay, so you can perform operations on floating data type. So what is floating data type? Is anything which you see in which is not an integer is considered to be a floating data type in Python. So now if you are performing an operation like 3.14 into 1.5 and you expect the result comes out 4.7. So you can perform operations, mathematical operations, and print the result directly. So this is one of the advantages of Python. Let me try one thing. I don't recollect if it works. Okay, yeah, not necessarily. This is basically because of the Jupyter notebook which I've shown you. This is just the Jupyter notebook's advantage or the Google Collaboratory advantage that we needless of giving the print command. If we give simple operations, it will print the result. But we'll still use the print command to print the result. It's a good habit, and not necessarily you'll always be experiencing Google Collaboratory or Jupyter notebooks in your future programming assignments. So it's a good habit to use the print command and then print the results. Okay, now you since you have used these operations, this operation on integers, remarkably you can use this operation on strings as well. So what are strings? Strings, just like this, print hello. Now hello is a string. What is string? String is an array. Okay, in this case it's an array of characters for me. So if again I'll tell you, I'll keep it relative to C++. In C++, you have something as a data type, something called as a character, whereas in Python, even if a string is of single unit length, okay, if a string of single unit length is there in C++ or C, we called it as character, but here in Python, we do not have anything as character. Whatever we have is string. Even if it is of unit length or if it is of some x length, it is still called be a string. So this is a string. I'm printing a string right now. So how do you represent a string? You place it within quotes. Okay, you place it within quotes. Now execute the cell and you find the hello result. Now I'll show you one thing. This is basically what is popularly known as the concatenation operation. It requires some coding when you work with other languages, but with Jupyter Notebook, it's very easy to work around with the. So sorry, I'm typing some long message. Just to show you, like, this is just to show you what an amazing thing it is. Now we'll run this. Hello, welcome to my channel. Now if I just remove any one of these spaces, okay, and place, so you are able to follow, right? I'll just remove the space and then I'll run this code again. Better if I copy it. Control A, Control C, then it's easier to understand. Okay, and there were codes here. Plus. Okay, so if I run this, okay, see the welcome to my channel, welcome and to are close enough. Now this is I'm just using this plus operation. Okay, now I have eliminated the space in between the character strings welcome and to, and thus you see the result something like this. Okay, now so we understood somewhat about the print command. We understood some of the basic some of the basic data types: integer, float, string. Okay, now I'll show you something more. Now, a very good habit of coding is that you provide comments. Okay, so comments, you can write comments in this. I previously told you that you can mention comments using add a comment over here. If you click an option, a pop-up will come and you can write down the comment. Check strings. If I write comment, so this will be here. So this comment will always be here. Now sometimes if you're not able to get Jupyter Notebook or Google Collaboratory, the way to write comments in Python is use hash. Okay, check string. So if you write this, I'll delete this. Now this is almost equivalent of writing a comment. Sometimes when you're writing a long piece of code and you want to remove a certain line of code and you do not exactly want to delete it, you just present a hash in front of it and the line is automatically commented. Now what is like what we understand commented is that it no longer participates in the execution of the program. Okay, just see, I've provided a hash. If I'm not providing a hash in front of the code, I'm executing this cell and I see both the print commands popping out. But if I provide a hash in front and now I execute the cell, so only the first line of the code will be executed and the second line is what the compiler understands is commented out. So it does not execute this. So it's a good habit to, like, instead of time and again deleting, like you're practicing some code, you are deleting and rewriting and deleting and rewriting. Instead of that, you can simply use hash and comment the code. If you find that the previous code was correct, you just remove the hash and the code is again executable. Okay. Now a good advantage to work with Python is that you can go back to any of the cells and re-execute it. So it's never a problem. So what all we have followed till now is like we have understood print command, data types, integer, float and string. Yeah, Boolean data type, which I have mentioned it to you. So what is a Boolean data type? Boolean data type is basically your true and false. Okay, so if I say print true, so it will print true. Okay, now print false. If you are observing closely enough, you will see that as soon as I'm writing true or false, a pop-up is coming and this true and false are becoming bluish in color. If I write something else, say for suppose Brainatic, Brainatic is not getting, okay, this is an error, I must put, it's not accepting it, okay, in the same format as true and false. It is telling me to either, like this, it is an incorrect syntax, so I have to mention it in a string format. So I have to put it in quotes. So this true and false are basically Boolean data types. Now there are certain operations in Boolean, like such as and, or, not. These operations can also be performed. So these are basically logic operations. You may find it helpful when you're doing some coding. Okay, so if I'm writing something like that, true and false, so in very layman's term, just think true to be 1 and false to be 0. Okay, in very layman terms, and just like relatively understand that true and false and is somewhat something like your multiplication operation. Okay, something like a multiplication operation. I'm doing it in very layman terms, I'm explaining it to you. So you will find that if you multiply 1 into 0, you get a 0. Similarly, what did I say? True is 1 and false is 0. So obviously if I'm getting the result 1 into 0 is 0, then I must get the result of this operation as false. So I'll execute this cell and I find this false operation, like the false as a result coming out. Now if I perform an operation like true or false, now 1 or is equivalent to your sum operation in very layman terms. Now 1 plus 0, you'll obviously get 1, that is true. So the result of this cell would come out to be true. So these are my Boolean data types. Okay. Now you might be thinking like, what is the necessity of this, or why are we learning Boolean data types? But these are very helpful and very important when you do some extensive coding or high level programming. So you'll find certain conditions which will compel you to use these Boolean logic operations. Okay. Now what we have learned the print command, how to use the data types for Boolean as well. Now next we are going to understand how do we use variables. Okay, so variables is another thing which we often use in programming or coding. Okay, so how do we assign variables when we are working with Python? So it's very simple, just like give any I hope it's visible to you. Give any character or give any variable. So variable is any letter of your keyboard or anything, like you can use just an A, or you can use an A1, or you can use A, B1. Okay, So these are all examples of variables. So I'll use a right now, and I'll assign, say for suppose, hello, welcome to my channel. Yeah, so this is my variable. So I'm allotting this entire string to my variable a. Now I'll execute this. So by executing, what happens is that this entire string, wherever it is stored in the memory, the address of the string is pointed by a now. Okay, so if I print a, I'll give the command print a. Now I hope you remember that when I was writing simply this without putting quotes, it will pop an error. Okay, I'll show it to you. If I write print b, I haven't allotted anything to b as a variable. Okay, so if I run the code, it will definitely show an error to me. Okay, name error, b is not defined. Okay, but I have defined a, and if I run that, I'll see the string result coming out. Hello, welcome to my channel. So I hope you understand what variables are from this. It's not necessarily limited to your string data types only. Variables you can use for integer, float, boolean, whatever. So let's see some examples. So if I write a is equal to 125 and I run this cell, I write b is equal to 25 and I run this cell, and I print the result now, a plus b, and I'll get the result as 150. Okay, so what is basically happening is that the variable a is defined with the value 125, variable b is defined with the value 25, and when you print the command of a plus b, you get the result 150. Simple as that. Okay, so obviously if you now let's work out an example with float as well. Okay, I'll assign a is equal to, and it's not limited to a only. Okay, I can write brain is equal to, I'll assign a floating value to it now. I'll assign 3.14. Okay, I'll run this cell. Now brain variable is defined with the value 3.14. 3.14 is a float data type. Okay, and I'll assign attic with the value 1.5. Okay, attic is now assigned with the value 1.5. Now I'll print the command brain divided by, or not divided by, let's go with attic. No matter what basic arithmetic operation you're doing, it will be performed. Okay, so you get the result 4.71. So it is irrespective of what the variable you are using. It's better, it's a good habit to use understandable variables which are clear throughout the code of your program. Okay, but you can use anything. Now if let's take another example. If I write a1 as a variable now, and I assign a value true to it, true to it, I run the cell, I take another variable a2. Okay, I hope you're getting my point. A1 and A2 are two distinct variables. Okay, so, and I assign a value false to it. I print the command. Okay, I print the command. So obviously with boolean, A1 or A2, and I run this, I get the result true. I hope you remember that the previous operation when I showed a1 true and true or false is equal to true. Now is it quite relevant to you now or not? Okay, so a1 and a2 are two distinct variables. Now I hope the concept of variables is quite clear to you. Now you can assign string variable to strings as to variable also. So I'll use ab now. Av1 is equal to brain at. Okay, now I store this variable, print uh, the name of this channel is, okay, the previous concatenation operation which I showed to you, I'll use it now. Okay, now I'll just write, or instead of I'll just simply write av1. I hope the thing is clear to you, and I run the command. Just see the result. The name of the channel is brain attic. The space between brain and attic is coming from this space, but the no space which is coming. Okay, I should give a space over here. Now this will look a little better. The name of the channel is brain attic. Now I hope this was a purposeful mistake which I did to show it to you. Okay, so I hope things are clear with variable now. Let's move a little forward and let's understand how do you take input to a variable. Okay, how do you take input? Now I want to take input. Say for suppose now I'm like taking the famous variable x. Huh? So I'll take input to this variable x from the user obviously. Okay, so I'll ask the user enter any number, any number. Okay, so the command will come. It will ask a number from me. So I'll write 2 and enter. Okay, if I give a print x command along with that, so if I run this, you will see if I give a number now 8 and it will print the number 8. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying this. This is how you take input. Now the best part about Python is that there's no issue with assigning data types, which is somewhat an issue when you work with C, C++, that it will throw a syntax error but if you by any chance make a mistake. So what will happen is that if I run this command again, instead of writing, I'll just run this cell again. Now if I run this cell again, even though user is asking for enter any number and I give say for suppose a string, obviously pi I'm writing is a string, okay, and I enter it, it will accept it automatically. X will be the variable x will understand that the data which is data type which is allocated to it is a string type, and the print x command will come. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand all the operations and all the functions which we did using Python with all the commands which we did. So if you will follow with some more operations in the upcoming videos. In the next video probably we'll start with loops and if, for, while, all these loops. And if you like the channel, then do subscribe. If you like the video, please hit the like button if you like this video. If you comments are more than welcome, feedback is more than welcome. If you want to learn some more on something more on some other topic, please make sure you comment below. I'll definitely make a video on this. So thank you so much.